Hello, here is question number 10 from 11.1. A survey asked how many tattoos do you currently have on your body. Of 1220 males surveyed, 178 responded that they had at least one, and of 1005 females surveyed and 132 responded they had at least one. Construct a 90% confidence interval to judge whether the proportion of males that have at least one tattoo differs significantly from proportion of females that have at least one tattoo. Interpret the interval. Okay. So there are males and there are females, two different sets of the test, right? So total 1220 males were surveyed, and out of those 178 said they have tattoo, and total 1005 females were surveyed. So this is n values, this is x values, and out of those 132 responded that they have some kind of tattoo. The question is to construct 90% confidence interval to judge whether the proportion of males uh, have at least one tattoo differs significantly. So the question here, the null hypothesis is that either the proportions are same, alternate hypothesis is that they differ. That is the question to test, and we do that in this question using confidence interval. So you create a 90% confidence interval. So whenever you're dealing with proportions and there are two different populations, right? Two different populations, two different sample size. Then we use 2 prop z interval because we are creating an interval. So you need to use 2 prop z interval on your calculator. So let's do that. We have on stat, go to test. So not 2 prop z test right now because we are creating an interval. So if you go at B, 2 prop z interval, that's what you need. In X1 is 178. Total number of males surveyed were 1220. X2 is 132, the females who had the tattoo. The total number of females surveyed were 1005. And the interval type is 90% confidence level, so it's 0.9. That's correct. And press. So this is your confidence interval. That's what you need to enter on your homework. The lower bound of the this confidence interval is for P1 minus P2. That's what you need to remember. So 90% confidence interval for P1 minus P2 is done by 2 prop Z interval. The lower bound is this negative 0.0096 value. So you will write that. You said 3 decimal places, so we are gonna round it up, say 10, and upper bound is 0.039 because we are rounding to 3 digits. Let's check the answer. So that is your first step. Okay, continue from here. What does it say? What does it mean? You see, the confidence interval is negative 0.010 to 0.039, right? So you need to check that from 0.010 to 0.039, does 0 come in between them somewhere? Yes, it does, right? There is a 0 because this number is negative number, that number is positive number. So in between, there will be a 0, right? So that means, what does that mean? That they can be equal also. There is chance that it can be equal. So we can say, what does that mean? That we are not leaning towards different, we are leaning towards the null hypothesis. That means we are rejecting the alternate hypothesis. That means there is not sufficient evidence for the difference here. So there is 90% confidence that the difference in the is in the interval. That is the interpretation of the difference, which concludes what? There is significance difference. We are saying not the significant difference, right? We are rejecting H1. So we are not saying that. So not A. There is 90% probability, not probability. C also not true. Let's read D. There is 90% confidence that the difference of proportion is in the interval. Okay, that is the interpretation of interval. Conclude that there is insufficient. That means we're gonna say not sufficient. Insufficient and not sufficient is the same in words. Evidence of significant difference in the proportion of males and females who have at least one head. So we're gonna check that. That is the correct answer.